Greetings, viewers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Business in Africa here on Africa Renaissance TV with me, Mohamed M. Sedewa. Well, today we're going to be having a discussion on a very crucial topic, which is supporting indigenous business. To have this discussion, I have a special guest, Bakare Mansari, of course, working with the Support Our Own Gambia Foundation here in the Gambia. So the whole essence behind Business in Africa is to help indigenous business to have their way from idea generation to running a successful business. So today we'll be having this discussion. So join us as we delve into this topic. Welcome, Mr. Bakare, to Business in Africa.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, before we get into the topic, we want you to tell the viewers who Bakare is, who Bakare Mansari is.
Yeah, well, thank you so very much, Mr. Sedewa, for having me here. I am Bakare Konate, and I am the program coordinator of Support Our Own Gambian Foundation. This foundation is mainly focused on promoting and nurturing, but also celebrating everything that has to do with Gambian. And the main purpose of the foundation has to do with supporting indigenous people. So that is why this topic today is very important, because it is something that we really relate with. Like if you look at Support Our Own Gambian Foundation, everything that we looking at, everything that we put in our efforts and energy into is about the Gambian people, because we've discovered that a lot of the time Gambians don't celebrate what they own. And we don't put energy into our own things. We believe in everything that is foreign or outside there.
So, well, that's a very good start into the topic.
Exactly.
I believe Support Our Own Gambia Foundation is the best institution for this topic.
Exactly.
So, can you tell us the importance of indigenous business as far as the socio-economic development of our country is concerned?
Yeah, that's a very important question, because indigenous businesses, one, we have to understand that there is that need for them to be really supported. And one reason why that is supposed to be is because in indigenous businesses lies a huge lot of trust. Because if you have your own people producing things for you, there is a level of trust you always having what they do. Because at some level, you already seeing what they are doing, who are the people doing these things. Sure. Like if I am to eat anything that is like Gambian made, it's maybe made in, Farato, Brikama, you name them. So I might know one or two people who work in that environment. Yeah. So I have a direct relationship in a certain way with these people, but also I already know things that they are doing. So one thing why it is important to support indigenous businesses is that the people are going to have trust in the food that they consume or all the things that they will, interact with.
So that's quite very important, because all the indigenous business are operating within the region that we are living in.
Exactly.
So it has that trust. We have that trust because we know who are involved in the production of those.
Exactly.
So basically, what is the effect that these people, this indigenous business, the addition that they are making towards the socio-economic development of our country?
Yeah. Well, actually, the economy is like a chain. So when one part of the economy is stimulated, it affects the other part of the economy. So imagine if we have young people in the Gambia supported in their various businesses like, poultry, agro business and all of that, you will see that one youth is going to support the other youth. Mm. So in a nutshell, we're going to have a chain of development. You have one part of the society, improving, it's going to affect the other side. So all in all, you're going to have a very amazing society of young people growing together. So it's going to foster the development of indigenous people. Sure. Hence, our development and our growth is not going to be dependent on other people. So we will take care of our own affairs by our own selves.
Yeah, that's quite very important. So in as much as indigenous business are very vital in our economy, we know all businesses have challenges.
Yes.
So what are the common problems that are faced by indigenous business in Africa?
Yeah, well, actually, one major problem, and I think that is, generic in the whole world when it comes to business, but Africa, or, the sub-region houses a special case, that is access to finance. This is one major constraint that businesses in Africa are really facing. You talk to any individual who is into business, they will tell you like access to finance is something that is really giving us headache. Yeah. And the other things might be there, for example, like resilience. You have to be really resilient to be a businessman in Africa, because our counterparts in other parts of the world, they almost literally have everything before their doorsteps. Sure. You look at electricity in Africa, it's a major problem, and the Gambia in particular. So if you want to do any business in the Gambia that has to do with electricity, you definitely have to be resilient. You have to find other means of sustaining that business. Sure. Yep.
Like some will tell you it's very difficult to produce in the Gambia.
Exactly.
So this will tend to build a wide gap between our products and the products that are coming from outside our country.
Exactly.
So what do you think individuals in Africa, like individuals, not talking about the government, but individuals can do to support indigenous?
Like me and you.
Yeah, like me.
Well, actually, one thing that they can do to support indigenous businesses is believing in the products or the produce that they produce in their various businesses. For example, if I want to have a laptop bag, I do not have to necessarily go and buy that from the already more than whatever bag. I can go to that lady called Jatu, so she makes bags that are very beautiful out of African fabrics. Yeah. And she is a young girl. She is really doing a lot of effort.
Very creative.
Good.
Very
so
creative.
I can go and buy from her. So I'm supporting them. So I'm supporting their business. But the other thing that we can also do is you can give them moral support, because that African to have business in Africa is really challenging. Maybe you are experienced in a certain way when it comes to business, so you reach out to them, you tell them these are the things that you have to improve on, you give them feedback. And we have to give them honest feedbacks, and sometimes there is a problem because you feel they are going to feel in a certain way very bad or whatever, but it's always good to give them feedback also. So I think that is one aspect that me and you or any other individual can do for these young people or men in business.
That's very important. To trust their product.
Exactly.
And buy from them.
Exactly.
Also to give feedbacks are very vital as far as our business is concerned.
Yeah.
Because it's from those feedbacks that they tend to improve their products and also their way of selling their products.
Exactly.
So we all know government is the custodians of all businesses within the country.
Yeah.
Government is responsible for us, including our businesses, our affairs. So what do you think the government should do to help in the development of indigenous businesses?
Yeah, like one major aspect that the government can step in when it comes to the development would be policies. Like when I was going through the yearly training, like they will always tell us that our African brothers are complaining that they find it difficult to establish their business because you will see that there is a level of tax, the VAT and all of these, taxes, you know what I'm saying? And you have to be able to register your business also. So the business registration in the Gambia, I wouldn't say is now very challenging because it's as easy as a $500. So that aspect they've really tried. But also they should allow indigenous businesses or young entrepreneurs to grow without charging them. You understand? For example, let us say there will be no tax levied on indigenous businesses for at least 5 years of their development. You give them time, but also anytime you want to give them taxes, you're going to look at their total revenue before you tax them. Let it be realistic. You understand? But also, they can also, in a way, say, okay, we're going to cut down the level of importation into the country. You know what I'm saying? For example, in poultry, let they say like 25% is what is going to be imported into the country, and 75% of poultry produce is going to be,
from the Gambia.
Exactly. So that way we're going to have our indigenous people, being encouraged, and, their produce are going to sell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's very vital. The policies that government made are very important as far as entrepreneurial development are concerned. So do you think providing sensitizations, trainings, and other means to enhance the knowledge of young people in the Gambia towards entrepreneurship will help in form of encouraging them to venture into establishing business?
Wonderful. I think that is one major fundamental part of it, because you might have the energy, you might have the passion, but if you do not have the know-how, along the line you might, break down. You understand? Sure. So capacity building should really, be something that they really, take as a huge responsibility upon themselves. Like, let these people know how businesses are done, business models. How do you create them? How do you have your, your market? Who are your market, target? What is the size of your market? You understand? All of these things are important, like branding. A lot of the time I say that Gambian businesses don't know how to brand their business.
I think this is a major problem, because
exactly.
Some you say O and O sons, or OJ sons, like that. So people don't have a very good name
exactly.
as far as their business is concerned.
Exactly.
So now, we are talking about business in Africa in general. So do you think, trade between and among countries, the hindrance that are there as far as trade between and among countries in Africa is a problem in developing indigenous business in Africa?
Huge problems, in fact. I would say challenges. But if you look at it, the Ghanaian people cannot buy certain things from the Gambian people. You understand? Because there is that lack of integration between, these two countries. The sub-region has to integrate their business such that I can be in the Gambia and be buying stuffs in Ghana, and that should be very easy. That is why if you look at the president of Kenya, the recent president, he's talking about African countries trading in their own currencies. So they wouldn't have to use the US dollar or whatever other currency to trade among themselves. So I think the continent has to create that avenue to integrate the businesses in Africa. So that
currency also has a very, very big importance as far as trade between and among countries is concerned.
Exactly.
Because if you look at Europe, all European countries use euro to trade between among them.
Exactly.
So I think that's also very important. So now we talk about challenges. We talk about the financial challenges, and all those challenges that we talk about now. But how do you think we can avoid those challenges?
Like one major, approach could be being resilient. You have to, be strong, be perseverant, know that these are the challenges we have as a continent, understand? But one way we can also solve this issue is by educating them. Let them understand how businesses are done. We are no more in that era of just getting up, opening a corner shop, and doing things as they were done in the 50s. You can no more do that now. There are modern ways. People are going into technology, so you have to be updating whatever that you're doing. So one fundamental aspect so that we can avoid this thing is the introduction of technology into our business and more education. And resources also. The use of technology is very vital. We have to embrace the use of technology in order to improve our businesses in Africa. So I want to ask you about support our own Gambia Foundation, because it's very important. The organization is doing great as far as helping indigenous people, helping indigenous minds, indigenous businesses. So I think we'll take our first commercial break. So when we come back, then we can talk about that. Thank you.
Welcome back from the short commercial break. Just to remind you, you are watching Business in Africa here on Africa Renaissance TV. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe, and also follow us on our Facebook and our Instagram page for more interesting program coming your way from Africa Renaissance TV. So we're talking about supporting indigenous business. So we have the institution that is support our own Gambia Foundation, which is doing great work as far as supporting indigenous businesses and indigenous minds here in the country. So, Mr. Bakare, welcome back from that short commercial.
Thank you.
So now, you are from Support Our Own Foundation Gambia. Take us through the activities of Support Our Own Gambia Foundation.
Thank you for that. I think that is one exciting question that I will always, be very proud to talk about. Support Our Own Gambian Foundation is a foundation that is anchored on principles that are very important for every Gambian to understand, and because it's talking about celebrating, empowering, but also nurturing everything that has to do with Gambian. So our core values are supporting Gambian businesses without making any regards sort of to profit making. So we are very interested in supporting these indigenous businesses because we believe these young people, men and women, who can, champion the development of this country. Sure. If we neglect them, you will have a lot of, drawbacks in our development because the only thing that Africa has is the young people. So we have to really, support them, nurture them, but also empower them. So that is support our own kind of foundation.
The young people amount to over 70% of our population, and then, their development is very vital as far as our socioeconomic development is concerned. Yep. So what are the kind of support that you give to these indigenous businesses?
Yeah, like Support Our Own over the years and since our inception into what we do, all that we are focusing on is supporting these people in different ways. But one of the ways in which we support them is like giving them financial support, because like I said before, one constraint of African business is finance, access to finance. So what we do is we call these micro businesses and indigenous businesses, we call them, we have a discussion with them, either sometimes telephone calls. They will draw a concept note, they give us some of the things that they want to do actually. So what we do is we look at how feasible is this, then we give them a support, support in cash, so that they can establish or enact some of those things that they have in their in their businesses. So we give them finance one way.
Yeah, that's a very important aspect. Most people will tell you finance is not that much important, but then for a fact that finance is the backbone of every business that you can venture in.
Yeah, so, but just also we also help them, give them interviews. For example, some of these things, they have to go into the media out there because people don't even know about their existence. So we give them interviews. We also sort of support young women, more especially women. Our support is mainly focused on young women. Like we will give them support by giving them like materials sometimes. For example, somebody will come and say, okay, I need this, and I like for a camera. I don't have, that shooting whatever camera, we can facilitate that. Somebody will come and say, okay, I am a graphic designer, I need maybe, a computer, something like that. I am a tailor, I need a machine, something like that. So we can support in all of those things.
I think, our aims are in line.
Exactly.
This is the whole idea behind business in Africa, that is to help businesses to have their way from idea generation to running a successful business.
Yep.
So I believe we can actually have work on several areas to be able to help businesses as far as visibility is concerned and other areas, because I've come across with a lot of businesses through your page, and then I'm still in contact with them to see how best we can work together. Okay. So basically, now, is there any specific area that Support Our Own Gambia Foundation is looking at, like a specific sector that they are looking at?
Yeah, a specific sector. Yeah, there are, and one of those is mentoring. We want to mentor these young people into believing in themselves, but also we want to promote our culture and our tradition. Because if you look at these indigenous businesses, some of the time, or most of the time, things that they produce are our own products. Sure. Like this Jatu lady that I was talking about, all of those products that she's making, products rather, are very, very important. And, those are specific areas that Support Our Own is really focusing on. But also, we are also having a store at the Tipagara's, mall. This store is created so that we can have indigenous businesses take their products there or their produce to sell them. Understand? So these are specific areas, but also the other specific area that we are really focused on is like into like agribusiness, people that are into agribusiness or processing. food processing, like people that will use coconut oil and all of these things that are very local, and our people are, you know, trying to produce them into finished products. We are focused on those areas also.
Yeah, so you know, like you made mention of that you have a store at Tipagaras.
Yep.
You know, I think I've been there once.
Exactly.
I've got chere from there.
Exactly.
A very delicious one for that. So now, talking about how looking at the sustainability of that store, you know, maintaining the store and all that. How do you go about maintaining that? You know, regarding that you are not looking for profit as far as support our own Gambia Foundation is concerned.
Yeah, it's all about, you know, the passion. If you look at the backbone of Support Our Own Gambian Foundation is really sold by people of high hopes, but they have passion for what they are doing. So that keeps us going. We are never gonna stop. You understand what I'm saying? And the other mechanism that we have to sustain that, you know, store is these people that are there. We literally provide this store for them. They bring in their products. So in a certain way, when they make sales, they sort of contribute. Also, they give back. It's like we give you $100. You make, you know, you make whatever that you want to make out of that $100. You give back, so we support another person. So it's like a chain, sort of. I give you, you have what you want, you give back, I give to another person.
That's very important, you know, because in ARTV,
exactly.
I think the word that is very common is sustainability.
Exactly.
So we always look at the sustainability aspect of everything.
Exactly.
That's very vital, you know, supporting, you know, businesses and also supporting. I believe Support Our Own Gambia Foundation, you know, it's an institution that, you know, everybody should support.
Exactly.
You know, it's supporting indigenous minds, indigenous people, and we also have to support them. Now, how do you measure your success as an institution?
But that is very important. But ways that we measure our success is, like, for example, before we go into any contact with any business, we look at what they have. We make a record of all of those things. For example, you're running an indigenous business that you have only but 5 local bags that you are making. We take a record of all of these things. So when we already give you support, we now come to look at, okay, how far have you gone? So we are not looking at, for example, the financial aspect of it. We are looking at engaging these people. We are not looking for profit, because sometimes money is not everything. Sure. So, but the impact, that is, how many people are you employing after we support you? How many people are you engaging? You know, how, you know, compassionate and, you know, passionate are you more after we gave you the support? Because somebody who is already crying, you come and, you know, wipe their tears, you give them something. That is a source of motivation. So we are not only looking at the financial aspect of their development. So one way that we measure our success is how we are motivating these people.
So the impact that
is the social impact. Yep.
So now, what are the challenges that is faced by Support Our Own Foundation?
Yeah, numerous.
You know, I think we can join this together. We can summarize it together. Challenges and possibly how do you think they can be
remedied?
Yeah,
like they might be numerous, but we are not letting go. You know, so one major issue is we have like financial issues with some of these people that we support. You give them like $300, they will not focus their energy onto developing that into a $300, like for a $600.
Yeah.
They will rather, you know, come back to you and tell you we couldn't make profit and all of these things, you know. So that is a bit of a challenge.
Sure.
But also Gambians don't believe in their own. You understand? And people have this cultural mindset that you celebrate people when they are alive. They wait until when you die and, you know, start talking about these things, because you talking about people, they will be like, you know, dafa kufang, aba kufang nala, you know, and all of these things. So people tend to not celebrate people. So even, you know, support our own Gambian Foundation, even by just liking our page sometimes, it's really hard. So, you know, it's just a mere click, but you find that very difficult for some people to do. So these are some of the challenges, you know, that we are facing. Yeah.
So I think, you know, Support Our Own Gambia Foundation, it's an institution that we all have to support, because, you know, they are doing great work as far as helping indigenous people, indigenous minds, and of course indigenous business that are in the country. So finally, what advice do you have for the youths?
Yeah, the advice would be we have to know that we are Africans. We always have to know that we are Africans. We have a culture. And everything that we are doing should resonate around these values that we have as a people. Because if you try to imitate other people, like I will say this in Mandinka, binta yebula kumba fe like kuntinya dara kuoto nintulo me manke kundinyo be dasalade. So if you try to be somebody else, if you are not going to face obstacles in this way, you might face it in the other way around. So we have to know we are a people and we have a culture, we have, you know, we have a way of life. So everything that we are making, produce or products or whatever, they have to, you know, come around these things. And but African youths have to be really resilient, because our counterparts, they may have some bit of a competitive advantage, you know, like the things that I've talked about, electricity and all of these things. So we have to be really resilient. But I think Africans are resilient, so that should be easy to be done. Yeah, thank you.
So Africans are really very resilient, and then I think, you know, most businesses will work on to be more resilient as far as developing their businesses is concerned.
Exactly.
So this is all we got from the business in Africa. And then, you know, it's about supporting our own. This is the main reason that we bring business in Africa, to help business entrepreneurs, to help entrepreneurs, both existing and aspiring entrepreneurs. So just to remind you, this program is open for partnership and also collaborations. If you have, you know, you want to collaborate with us, you know, or partner with us, we are always open for that. So you know, go and like this, support our own foundation, their page, and also you know, support them. I know they are doing great works.
Thank you.
So till we come your way next time, I am Mohammed Mustafa Serio.
Thank you.